If you've ever felt frustrated with fat loss, trust me, I have been there. Here's some of the things that I wish I would have known before starting my fat loss journey. And make sure you stick around to the end because I'm going to share tips and tricks that I've learned along the way that have helped me with my personal fitness journey and a lot of my clients as well. For me, being overweight has been something that I've struggled with off and on for my entire life. One minute I'm extremely lean, I'm an athlete, I'm playing sports at a high level, and the next minute I'm 240 pounds. I wasn't the person that I really wanted to be. I didn't have the career that I wanted, I wasn't helping people how I wanted, I wasn't taking advantage of the life that I really wanted to live. And somewhere deep down, I knew that the first step to building confidence and tackling life was going to be taking care of my body and getting into shape. But coming from around 170 pounds and getting all the way up to 240, there's some roadblocks that are created and habits that are instilled that create that environment. And it's really hard to come back from it. And during that time, I made a lot of mistakes. The good news is I'm going to share those mistakes with you and also give you some examples of things that you can do to help you with your fitness journey. One of the first things you have to do to start losing body fat and making the progression through a goal that takes a long time is figure out what your why is. Finding out what your why is what's going to allow you to be successful, because losing body fat, especially when we're talking upwards of 20 plus pounds, takes a long time. My personal why was wanting to be someone who you could look at as someone who's healthy and fit and an individual that you can trust because they do the right things daily. But it didn't really start that way. It started with making a ton of mistakes. After looking back on the transformation that I made over the course of years and years, here are the 5 main mistakes that I personally made. Number 1 on the list is not tracking. If you are not tracking in any fashion, you are going to set yourself up for failure. The difficulty of not tracking is you just don't know how that progression looks. Are you eating too much? Are you eating too little? Are you not training hard enough? Are you not sleeping enough? Are you not hydrating well? How do you know any of that information if you're not actually tracking the data? If you're not tracking, it's hard to know where to go. So when I started out, I was spinning the wheel, just eating healthier meals, when calorically I was probably eating closer to 3,000 to 5,000 calories daily. I know I have a big appetite and that was pretty common for me. As I continued to consume what I deemed as healthy food, I didn't really weigh myself at all and I ended up gaining weight initially. Which leads me to my second point, training too hard too often. When I first started trying to get back into shape, I thought I needed to do what I did in high school and in college, which was train really, really hard, really frequently, allowing me to eat kind of whatever I wanted. I did this for about 6 months. I hurt myself consistently. I would train 6 to 7 days without breaks. I would do a lot of running and a lot of sprints, and none of it really turned into any progress. The difficulty is I was trying to out-train basically all of the things that I wasn't doing correctly already. And that led to a lot of injury, and that set me back even farther with my progression. This leading to our third topic, which is overdoing cardio. This was a huge mistake that I made. I would try to run day in and day out, running sprints, running long distances, generally just hurting myself along the way, adding additional pressure to my joints on a frame that should be around 160 to 180 pounds. I was trying to do what I was doing at 240 pounds. I thought by doing more cardio, I was going to allow myself more food to consume, which I was already not tracking, and then adding that on top of the additional exercise, I was kind of burning the candle at both ends. At some point, that's going to break. You're not going to have progress if you do it that way. And number 5 on this list, the biggest mistake that I made was eating too much one day and underfueling the next because I felt bad about eating too much. The guilt of overeating and undereating was a never-ending cycle that led to no progress, and inevitably it actually led me to gain more weight because I'd give up far too often on the new diet or nutrition program that I was trying to follow. With those being the top 5 mistakes I made and getting those out of the way, that prior version of me had to build new habits to create this version of me that I really wanted to be. Which leads us to the most beneficial part of this video, the top 5 lessons that I've learned that you can implement now that will help you with your fat loss journey. Starting with number 1 on this list. A calorie deficit is king. Unfortunately, for a majority of people, there are not a lot of ways around it. You have to be in some kind of an energy deficit to lose some kind of weight. Understanding the basics of thermodynamics allows us to know that we have to be in a position where a deficit is created to lose the body fat. Now, doing so can be tricky, but there are a lot of tools that we can implement that are going to help us. But once we know that the calorie deficit and our nutrition is going to be the biggest factor in our fat loss journey, this will allow you to make progress, which leads us to our second point, which is nutrition drives fat loss. So now that we know that our caloric intake is one of the most important values, the second most important thing is going to be the quality of food we consume. Are you consuming enough fiber, enough protein? Is there enough volume in the food that you're eating to allow this to be something you can do long term? When I changed from eating Chick-fil-A every day and having 1,000 to 1,500 of my calories coming from that to having whole foods, fruits, vegetables, things that are really satiating, provide a lot of nutrients and made me feel good, it was way easier to maintain the deficit. So the quality of food that we choose is extremely important. It's not just about eating less, it's about eating more of the right things. And with both of those covered, we need to look at number 3 on our list. This is exercise. Exercise is a fundamental tool in building this picture of our fat loss journey. If you are exercising to some degree, you will most likely lose lean mass as well. And we don't want to take the same package and just make it smaller. Trust me, I've done that. I've gone from 240 to 220 and felt and looked the same. It's because I lost a lot of body fat during that process. We want to maintain and salvage as much lean mass as possible. So doing some kind of resistance training is going to be the most beneficial. But it's okay if you don't want to go to the gym. If the gym stresses you out, just do something more than you were doing before. If you live a very sedentary life and you don't move a lot and you work from home, start moving a little bit more. Go on daily walks. Look at step counts. Look at something very basic that gets you out the door. If you love playing sports and you haven't in a long time, go play sports. Go to the local rec center. Join some kind of club. Do something that keeps you active and keeps you social. For me, weight training is a great tool, and for a lot of the clients that I work with. When you implement some kind of weight training environment, especially a hypertrophy environment, an environment that allows you to maintain or build lean mass, you will inevitably lose body fat and maintain that lean tissue that we've worked so hard to build. If you can keep lean tissue around, you'll start to see that as we lose body fat, you're gonna see the dream physique and the dream lifestyle change that you're really looking for. So make sure you do some kind of activity and some kind of exercise. Number 4 on this list, sleep and hydration matter. If you are sleeping less than 6 hours a night, and if you are underhydrated, you're gonna cause a lot of weird cues to occur in the body that are going to, 1, make you hungrier, and 2, diminish the food choices that you make. So it's going to be a lot harder to maintain progress if you aren't sleeping well and if you aren't hydrated. Keep in mind, being hydrated is extremely important. If you are dehydrated, you will most likely get the cueing for hunger. And that also plays for if you don't sleep enough. If you don't sleep enough, you might have noticed that when you wake up in the morning, you're a little hungrier, you're a little quicker to crave. And on top of that, being a little more fatigued is going to create an environment where you are less likely to make the best choices possible. And wrapping up with number 5 on this list is track your progress wisely. This doesn't have to be gung-ho, everything being tracked, but I do recommend some kind of way of tracking your progress, whether that be as simple as having a pair of pants that you use to see if they fit better and better or get looser and looser, taking photos, tracking your body stats by doing weigh-ins or doing measurements, or going to the extent of doing an InBody or a DEXA scan. If you track your progress and additionally track your nutrition, you can kind of find where that path leads and you can follow the trends. Following the trends will allow you to know where you're going and where you started. This will guarantee that you continue to make the right judgment calls along the way through your deficit. These 5 tools changed my life drastically. From the person that I was before to the person that I wanted to be, these habits and these mistakes have to start to change if you want to see the results come through. My biggest recommendation would be to take not only the calorie deficit serious, but to look at some other pillars of your health and fitness, looking at things like sleep, nutrition, exercise, stress management. These are all big factors in how we progress and if we can sustain the environment that we've created. If one of those starts to drop through the cracks, you will most likely start to suffer from it. So make sure you're keeping a keen eye on all of those factors. For me, it was life-changing to go through a fat loss environment. I gained confidence, I changed careers, I bought a home, I play the sports that I love, and I love the body that I'm in. And unfortunately, not everyone can say that. But the goal with this video is to make sure that anyone who wants to can make that transformation as well. So if you're starting your own fitness journey, I hope this video helps in increasing your chances of success and reduces the mistakes that I made for 6+ months that prevented me from seeing the results I wanted. If you're struggling to make progress during your fitness journey, trust me, I have been there. But it's always important to remember there are a lot of people like me and like you out there that are struggling with their fitness goals. It is attainable. It just takes a lot of dedication and getting really good at really simple things day in and day out. Focus on the delayed gratification and becoming the person you want to be, and I promise you'll be successful. If you found this video beneficial in any way, please like, subscribe, and follow for more. And if you have any specific questions or needs, go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I'm happy to answer them personally or make content around it for you. Okay, bye.